The encounter, the night was silent. Only the cold wind moved across the empty land. Stars burned above like a million sharp eyes. Far away, the ruins of a human ship lay broken, black metal shining under the moonlight. Near the wreck, a man sat by a small fire. His clothes were torn, his face was tired, but his eyes stayed sharp. He had lived alone here for many months. He had learned one truth: this world was not safe. Shadows moved where no shadows should be. Whispers traveled in the dark, though no human tongue made them. He chewed a piece of dried meat slowly, listening, waiting. Every night he expected danger. Every night something tried to test him. Tonight it was not the wind. Tonight he heard small footsteps. He stood quickly, hand on his knife. His heart beat faster. Something was moving at the edge of the firelight. The shadows shifted, and then he saw her, a little girl. She was thin, her face pale under the strange blue light of the planet's moons. Her eyes were wide, glowing faintly, not like human eyes at all. Her hair fell in dark knots across her shoulders. She looked no more than 7 years old, but her clothes were torn, her hands dirty. She shivered, though she made no sound. The man froze. This was no human child. She was alien. The girl stared at him, frightened but desperate. She looked at the food in his hand. Her lips trembled. He did not move for a long moment. His instinct screamed it could be a trap. Many times he had seen creatures pretend to be harmless. Many times the jungle used tricks to bring prey closer, and yet her eyes told another story. Slowly he bent down, broke his piece of dried meat in half, and placed it on a rock near the fire. He stepped back, never taking his eyes off her. The girl waited. Her stomach growled loud in the silence. At last she took a step forward, then another. Finally she reached the rock. Her small hands shook as she grabbed the food and stuffed it into her mouth. She ate fast, like someone who had been hungry for many days. The man watched.
He did not relax.
But something heavy inside his chest softened. "You're lost," he said quietly. His voice was calm, though he knew she might not understand his words. The girl looked up. To his surprise, she spoke. Her voice was weak, broken, but clear. "Hungry. Mother, gone." His heart sank. So she could speak his language, at least a little. How? Who had taught her? The fire cracked between them, throwing shadows across the ruins. The man's eyes shifted to the forest beyond. Something moved there. Dark shapes slipped between the trees, too large to be animals. Watching, waiting, he knew at once. She had not come here by chance. "Where is your mother?" he asked. The girl shook her head quickly, her mouth still full of food. She pointed into the darkness. "Mother." Coming, the man felt his skin tighten. His knife stayed ready in his hand. The little girl finished eating, then came closer. She looked at him with those glowing eyes, no longer afraid. She whispered something else, words so soft he almost missed them. "You saved me." For the first time in many months, the man felt strange warmth in his chest. It had been a long time since anyone had looked at him like that, with trust. But the warmth did not last. Because behind the girl, the shadows grew darker. A heavy sound came from the forest, slow steps, each one shaking the ground. The trees bent as something massive moved between them. The man raised his knife higher, ready for a fight. The girl only smiled, as if she had been waiting for this moment. She pointed again to the darkness. Her voice was clearer now. "Mother." The sound grew louder. The fire shook as the ground trembled. A tall shape emerged, glowing eyes burning through the night. The man's breath caught in his throat. He had thought the girl was strange, but the mother was something far more. The woman stepped forward, taller than any human, her body wrapped in silver light. Her gaze locked on the man, sharp as a blade. For a moment he thought she would kill him. For a moment, he thought this was the end. Then she bent down to her daughter, touched her face gently, and whispered something in a language he could not understand. The girl nodded, then looked back at him. The alien woman's voice was deep, strong, and filled with power. She spoke only 3 words in his tongue. "You fed her." The man said nothing. His knife was still in his hand, but his arm trembled. The woman's glowing eyes softened just a little. "You saved her." The fire hissed as the wind rose. Behind the woman, the forest shifted again. Shadows thick with unseen watchers. The mother looked at him, and her voice grew darker. "Now you must save me." The man stared, heart racing as the fire burned lower. The little girl pressed against her mother's side, but her eyes never left him. And in that moment, he realized one thing. His lonely nights were over. Danger had finally come to his fire, and it had come with a little girl and her mother. The mother arrives. The fire burned low, painting long shadows on the ground. The man's hand stayed tight on his knife. The little girl stood close to her mother now, small fingers holding on to the tall woman's silver robe. The alien mother stepped into the light fully. She was unlike anything the man had ever seen. Her body looked human in shape, but her skin shimmered as if made from living metal. Her eyes glowed with a strange blue fire, deep and endless. Her face was beautiful but sharp, like a blade carved from starlight. For a long moment she only looked at him. The forest behind her seemed to hold its breath. Even the strange shadows that followed her kept their distance. The man swallowed hard. His instincts screamed again, danger, but the little girl broke the silence. She tugged at her mother's robe and pointed at him. "Mother, he gave me food." The tall woman lowered her head to look at her child. Her cold face softened just a little. Then she turned her gaze back to the man. Her voice came like thunder and wind together, deep, powerful, yet somehow soft too. "You fed her," she said again. The man nodded once. He did not lower his knife. The woman stepped closer, the earth trembling under her feet. The firelight danced across her silver skin, making her look half spirit, half machine. "You showed kindness," she said slowly, as if testing each word of his language. "Few of your kind know that word anymore." The man frowned. "My kind?" The woman's glowing eyes narrowed. "Humans." She said the word like it was poison. The man felt his chest tighten. He wanted to defend himself, but the truth was heavy. He had seen what humans had done on this world. Machines left behind, still hunting, still killing. Ruins where cities once stood, still her words cut deep. "I am not like them," he said quietly. The woman studied him. Her eyes searched his face as if weighing his soul. Then slowly she lowered herself to one knee. It was not a gesture of weakness. It was something else, something older. She placed her hand over her daughter's head. "You saved my child," she said. "For that I thank you." The man blinked, surprised. Gratitude was not what he had expected, but her next words froze him. "And now you must save me." The fire cracked. The wind howled through the trees. The man felt the weight of her words, heavy as stone. "Save you?" he asked carefully. The woman stood tall again, her silver body shining like armor. She raised her hand and pointed into the forest. The trees shivered. The shadows moved again. This time the man could see them clearly. Shapes of iron and steel, glowing red eyes cutting through the dark. Machines. War machines. They moved slowly, careful and precise, surrounding the clearing. Their weapons hummed with deadly energy. The man's grip on his knife tightened. He had fought machines before, but never this many. The woman's voice cut through the rising noise. "They are not mine. They are yours. Made by humans, left here to kill all life that is not human." Her words were cold, but the truth in them was sharp. The little girl pressed against her mother, afraid now. The red lights of the machines drew closer, step by step. The man looked at the woman. "Why me? Why not your own people?" Her glowing eyes locked on him. "Because they do not trust me anymore. Because only you can speak their language. Because only you can stop the machines from killing us all." The man shook his head. "I am no soldier." "Not anymore," the woman's voice rose, strong and commanding. "Then be a father, be a protector. If not for me, then for her." She pushed her daughter forward gently. The little girl's glowing eyes met his. She did not speak, but her look was enough. Trust. Hope. The man felt his chest ache again. He wanted to refuse. He wanted to walk away. But the sound of the machines grew louder. Their red lights burned brighter. There was no time left. The woman stepped closer, her silver hand reaching out. "Stand with me," she said. "Stand with us. Or we all die here tonight." The man looked at her hand. His own hand shook, knife still clenched. For years he had lived alone, fighting only for himself. For years he had told himself there was nothing left worth saving. But now a child looked at him with trust. A mother asked him for help. And behind them death marched closer with every step. The man let out a long breath. Slowly he lowered his knife. His free hand reached out and touched hers. Her silver fingers closed around his rough human skin. For the first time, human and alien hands joined in the firelight. The woman's eyes burned brighter. She nodded once like a commander ready for battle. "It begins now." she whispered. The machines stepped into the clearing, weapons glowing. The fire hissed as sparks flew. The man stood beside the alien woman and her daughter, his knife in one hand, her silver grip in the other. The night exploded with red light and the battle was about to begin. The hidden threat. The clearing shook as the machines moved closer. Their steps were heavy, metal grinding against metal. Red eyes glowed through the smoke of the dying fire. Each one carried weapons, sharp claws, spinning drills, and cannons that hummed with deadly power. The man had seen machines before. Broken ones, wandering ones, small units that still followed old human commands. But these were hunters, built for war. Their armor was thick, their movements precise like predators who had never forgotten their purpose. The little girl hid behind her mother's robe, clutching the silver fabric tightly. Her wide glowing eyes showed both fear and trust. The alien mother stepped forward, tall and shining. She did not hide. Her voice cut across the night like a blade. "They come for me," she said, "but they will kill us all." The man's knife felt small in his hand. He had fought machines before, but only one or two at a time. This was different. 6 red eyes turned toward him, then 8, then more. Shapes kept moving between the trees, silent shadows with steel hearts. The woman looked at him. "You know their mind. You know the humans who made them. You must help me stop them." The man shook his head. His heart was heavy. "I don't control them. I don't even understand why they're still alive. Humans left this world long ago." The woman's eyes glowed brighter. "No, humans never leave anything. They always leave weapons behind." The words struck him hard. He remembered the wars, the orders, the cities destroyed because humans feared what they didn't understand. He remembered the commanders saying, "Better to burn a world than let it rise against us." He had been part of it once. He had followed orders, but now those same machines stood against him. The forest grew louder. Metal feet stomped the ground in a slow rhythm, closing the circle around them. The little girl whispered, "They smell fear." The man bent down quickly, looking at her. "How do you know?" She pointed to her glowing eyes. "I see it. In the dark, in them. They want, Mother, but they will kill you too." Her words made his blood run cold. These machines were not just killing by command, they were hunting with purpose. The woman spread her arms wide. Energy shimmered across her silver skin like a shield of light. "They come for me because I am the last," she said. "The last of my kind who still resists." The man stared at her. "Resists what?" Her gaze cut through him. "Your people's design. The machines were not only built to kill us, they were built to erase us, to make sure no one like me survives." The machines moved closer, their red eyes glowing hotter. Sparks flashed as claws scraped against the rocks. The man felt his chest tighten. "Then why bring your child here? Why risk her life?" The woman looked down at her daughter. For the first time, her eyes softened, almost human. "Because I had no choice. Because she must see the truth. Because one day she must stand where I stand." The little girl pressed against her mother's leg, trembling. The man understood then. This was not just about survival. This was about legacy. The machines stopped moving. Their circle was complete now. 10 of them stood around the fire, weapons aimed, red lights pulsing like angry hearts. One of the machines stepped forward. Its voice was not a voice at all, but a broken recording, old and cracked, filled with static. "Target confirmed. Non-human life detected. Eliminate." The sound made the girl cry out. The mother wrapped her arm around her child, pulling her close. Her glowing eyes burned with fury. The man gritted his teeth. He knew that voice. He had heard it in the old wars. A machine's last command, repeated forever. Never changed. But something was wrong. The machine turned its red gaze toward him. "Human unit detected. Status, traitor. Eliminate." The words froze his blood. The woman's voice cut sharp. "They do not care for you. You are as much their enemy as I am." The man's mind raced. He was marked. The machines had judged him. Not as human, not as soldier, but as traitor. The little girl's voice trembled. "They will kill you too." The machines raised their weapons. Red light filled the clearing. The sound of charging energy grew louder, like thunder about to break. The man's heart pounded. He could not run. He could not hide. The woman raised her silver hands. "Stand with me, human, or die with them." Her words echoed in his mind. For the first time, he felt the weight of choice, not just for himself, but for the child, for the future. He tightened his grip on the knife. His voice was low, steady. "Then let's fight." The woman's eyes burned brighter than the machine's. She gave a sharp nod. Energy flared across her body, a shield of living light. The little girl hid behind them both, her glowing eyes wide. The machines moved as one. The clearing exploded with fire and light. The battle in the dark, the clearing burned with red light. Machines raised their weapons, metal claws sharp and ready. The forest shook with the hum of power charging in their cores. For a heartbeat, time stood still. Then the night exploded. Lasers cut through the air, slicing trees, burning the ground. The man dropped low, rolling behind a fallen log as sparks flew around him. The little girl screamed, but her mother wrapped her in a shield of silver light. The energy rippled, glowing bright as the first blasts struck against it. The alien mother stood tall, her eyes burning like fire. Her shield bent, but it did not break. She raised her hand, and from her palm a beam of pure white light burst forward, striking the nearest machine. The metal hunter screeched, its red eyes flickering before its body collapsed into smoke and ash. The man's chest tightened. She was powerful, more powerful than he had guessed. But there were too many. 3 machines charged at once, claws spinning. The man leapt from his cover, knife in hand. His blade was simple, human steel, nothing like the glowing weapons of the aliens. But he knew where to strike. He had fought machines before. One hunter swung its claw at him. He ducked under it, rolled forward, and drove his knife deep into the soft joint of its leg. Sparks flew. The machine staggered, then collapsed with a heavy crash. Another turned toward him, cannon glowing. The man grabbed a broken branch from the ground and hurled it at the machine's glowing eye. The shot went wide, burning a hole in the dirt. He dashed forward, sliding under the machine's arm, and stabbed again. Pain shot through his shoulder as heat grazed his skin. But he did not stop. The forest filled with chaos, beams of light, crashing metal, smoke rising thick into the night. The little girl crouched in the shadows, her glowing eyes wide as she watched. Her small hands pressed over her ears, but still she watched. She did not look away from the man. The mother fought like a storm. Every step she took shook the ground. Her silver hands glowed with energy, striking machines into pieces, shattering their cores. But for each one she destroyed, 2 more stepped from the forest. The circle never ended. The man's lungs burned as he fought, sweat and blood mixing on his face. His knife was dull now, covered in oil and sparks. He knew they could not hold the clearing. "Not like this, we need to move," he shouted. The mother turned her glowing eyes toward him. For a moment she looked like she might argue, but then her gaze shifted to her daughter, trembling in the dark. Her jaw tightened. "Yes," she said. "Follow me." She raised her arms and the ground split beneath her. A hidden passage opened, dark stone leading into the earth. The man grabbed the girl's hand and pulled her close. The machines roared. Lasers burned across the clearing, cutting into trees, soil, and stone. One beam struck the edge of the passage, sending rocks tumbling down. The girl cried out, but the man held her tight. "Go," the mother commanded. They ran into the darkness. The passage was narrow, rough, cut into the heart of the earth. The air smelled of stone and ash. Behind them, the machines fired again. The mother followed last, her silver shield glowing faintly, blocking the beams as she sealed the entrance with a wave of her hand. The world above closed, leaving only blackness. The little girl's voice shook. "It's so dark." The man squeezed her hand. "Stay close. Don't let go." The mother's eyes glowed faintly in the cave, guiding them. "This path leads to the old caverns," she said. "The machines cannot follow far underground. Their weight will crush them." The man nodded, though his chest still heaved from the fight. His shoulder ached, burned from the near hit of a laser. He wanted to rest, but the sound behind them told him rest would not come. The machines were still trying to break through. The tunnels twisted and turned, each step echoing like thunder. Water dripped from the ceiling. Strange symbols glowed faintly on the walls, marks from another time, another people. The man did not understand them, but the mother touched them as she passed, whispering words in her own tongue. Finally, they reached a wide chamber. The ceiling rose high, filled with stalactites shining in faint blue light. Underground rivers flowed around them, glowing softly with strange alien minerals. It was beautiful, but the man had no time to stare. The little girl sat down on a rock, trembling. Her small body shook with fear, but her eyes stayed on him. She whispered, "You fight like my mother." The words hit him harder than any machine. The mother knelt beside her daughter, brushing her hair back gently. "Rest, child," she said, but her own eyes were sharp, fixed on the man. "You know machines. You fight them as if you were born for it." "Why?" The man's jaw tightened. His past clawed at him. Memories of orders, battles, screams. He looked away. "Because I was." The silence that followed was heavy. The girl blinked between them, confused. The mother leaned closer, her voice low. "Then you carry their sins." The man said nothing. His hands shook as he cleaned his knife. Above them, the cavern rumbled. Dust fell from the ceiling. The machines were trying to break in. The little girl gasped. "They're coming." The mother stood, silver light shimmering around her again. "They will not stop. Not until we are gone." The man rose to his feet, knife ready, though his body was tired. His eyes met hers. "Then we don't stop either." The cavern shook again. The battle was not over. It was only beginning. Truth revealed. The cavern shook again. Dust fell from the ceiling, drifting like gray snow. The underground rivers glowed faintly blue, lighting the chamber with a ghostly shine. The man stood ready, knife in hand, though his arm trembled from exhaustion. The alien mother stood taller, her silver body glowing with energy, shielding her daughter. The little girl clung to the rock, her wide eyes shining like stars in the dark. For a moment there was silence. No machines broke through yet. Only the sound of dripping water echoed through the chamber. The man let out a long breath. His chest burned, his shoulder ached, but his mind would not rest. "Why are they chasing you?" he asked finally, his voice sharp in the still air. The mother's glowing eyes met his. She did not answer at once. Instead, she moved closer to the river, dipping her hand into the glowing water. The light spread across her silver skin, making her seem half spirit, half fire. "They hunt me because I am the last of the High Bloods," she said softly. "The last of those who once ruled this world." The man frowned. "High Bloods?" Her voice grew harder, heavy with memory. "Long before your kind came, we lived in great cities. Towers of crystal touched the sky. Rivers of light fed our people. We were not warriors then. We were dreamers, builders, guardians of the stars." Her eyes burned brighter as she turned to face him. Then humans came. The man's jaw tightened. He had expected this. He had heard stories before. Of colonies, of conquest, of worlds burned in the name of human survival. Still, the weight of her words struck deep. She stepped closer, her voice cold. "Your kind came with machines. They called it peace, but it was war. They told us we could live if we obeyed. If we bent our knees. If we gave up who we were." The man felt her anger, raw and sharp, cut into him. He lowered his knife. "And you refused?" Her lips curved into a bitter smile. "We refused. We always refused. And so your machines were given one command: erase us." The cavern grew colder. The little girl shivered, pressing closer to her mother's side. The man looked at the child, then back at the mother. "But she's alive. Others must be too." The woman's eyes dimmed. "No, not many. My people are scattered, broken, hiding like ghosts. Some became slaves to the machines, others simply vanished." Her voice softened, filled with sorrow. "She is the last child of my line. My daughter. If she dies, then everything ends. The High Bloods will be gone forever." The man's chest tightened. He looked at the girl again. She was small, fragile, but her glowing eyes carried the weight of a world. "She's only a child," he whispered. The mother's gaze sharpened. "Yes, a child who carries the blood of a queen. A child who must grow to lead or nothing will remain." The little girl looked up at both of them. Her voice was soft, almost a whisper. "Mother says I must be strong, but I'm scared." Her words pierced the silence like a blade. The man crouched down, lowering himself to her height. His voice was rough but gentle. "Being scared doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're alive. And as long as you're alive, you keep going." The girl's small lips curved into the faintest smile. The mother watched closely. Her glowing eyes narrowed, studying the man. "You speak like a warrior," she said. He shook his head. "I was a soldier once. Not a warrior. Soldiers follow orders. Warriors fight for something more." Her gaze did not soften. "And what do you fight for now?" The question struck him hard. For years he had fought only for survival, for scraps of food, for one more day in the ruins. He had told himself there was nothing left worth fighting for. But now, a child with glowing eyes looked at him with trust. A woman, once a queen, asked for his strength. He swallowed hard. "I don't know," he admitted. The cavern rumbled again, louder this time. Cracks spread across the stone ceiling. The machines were still digging, still trying to break through. The mother's voice turned sharp again. You must decide soon, the man looked at her. Why me? You don't even trust humans. You said yourself we destroyed your world. She stepped closer, her silver form glowing in the dark. Her voice dropped low, almost a whisper. Because you are not like them. You fight the machines. You protect the child. You did not run when death came. Her hand lifted, brushing her daughter's hair gently. That is why I ask you. Not as human, not as soldier, but as something else. The man's grip tightened on his knife. His heart pounded. The air around them felt heavy, filled with both danger and choice. The little girl whispered again, her eyes locked on him. Mother says you can save us. I believe her. The words hit him harder than any machine strike. The cavern shook violently now. Stones fell from the ceiling. The machines were close. Very close. The mother stood tall, her silver light burning brighter. She looked at him with eyes that held both command and plea. There is only one way forward, she said, but you must accept it. If you refuse, we all die here. The man's breath caught. He stared at her, then at the girl, then at the cracks spreading above them. What way? He asked. The woman's voice was calm but unyielding. Join us. Her words echoed through the cavern as dust rained down. The machines roared above. The man's knife shook in his hand. His past screamed in his mind. But the child's eyes held him still, and he knew the truth. Everything was about to change. The mother's request, the cavern shook again, dust falling like ash from the ceiling. The rumble of machines above grew louder, claws scraping through stone. Time was running out. The man stood tense, knife still in his hand. His eyes flicked between the alien mother and the little girl. Her words still echoed in his mind. Join us. He had expected many things, fighting, death, betrayal, but not this. The woman's glowing eyes burned through the darkness. She did not look like someone begging. She looked like a queen issuing a command. Yet there was a strange weight behind her gaze. A quiet desperation. The man's voice came rough. Join you? What does that mean? The woman stepped closer, her silver body gleaming with the faint light of the underground rivers. Her daughter stayed behind, watching silently. It means becoming more than human, she said. It means standing with us, not as stranger, not as enemy, but as one of my people. The man frowned. You want me to fight for you? Her voice dropped lower, steadier. Not only fight. Bind yourself to me. Stand as protector, as partner, as husband. The word struck him like a blade to the chest. He froze, his breath caught. Husband. He thought he had misheard, but the way she stared at him left no doubt. He shook his head. You can't be serious. The little girl's small voice broke the silence. Mother doesn't joke. The man turned away, running his hand through his hair. The idea sounded insane. He was a broken soldier, a wanderer living in ruins. She was a queen, or what was left of one. And yet she looked at him with complete certainty. Why? He demanded, his voice sharp. Why me? The woman's eyes softened just a little. Because my people will not follow me alone. They no longer trust me. Too many battles lost. Too many of our kind dead. They see me as cursed. Her voice trembled just for a moment. But if I stand with you, if you are by my side, they will believe again. They will see hope. A union between us will be a sign that the war can still be won. The cavern groaned above them, cracks widening. The machines were close, their roars echoing through the stone. The man's heart pounded, but her words weighed heavier than the danger outside. He stared at her. You don't know me. You don't even trust humans, and yet you're asking me to marry you? The woman's gaze locked on his, unblinking. I trust actions more than words. You fed my daughter when you had nothing to gain. You fought beside me against death itself. That is enough. The little girl stepped forward then, her glowing eyes fixed on him. Please, she whispered. If you stay, we won't be alone anymore. The words cut deep. He had been alone for so long. Nights by the fire, days hunting scraps, fighting shadows with no one at his side. He had told himself that was life, that was survival. But now this child looked at him with hope. His knife felt heavy in his hand. He lowered it slowly. You don't understand what you're asking, he muttered. The mother tilted her head, her glowing hair shifting like molten silver. Then make me understand. His voice broke, rough with old wounds. I've killed more of your kind than I can count. I was a soldier in the war. I followed orders that destroyed your cities. If your people knew that, they'd never accept me. Her eyes did not leave him. And yet here you are, fighting against the same machines that once obeyed you. Perhaps that is why it must be you. You carry the sins of humans, and the chance to break them. The chamber fell silent, heavy with her words. The man felt the weight of them press against his chest. Above, the machines roared again. A crack split open in the ceiling, red light burning through. The mother stepped closer, her voice urgent but calm. There is no time left. Decide. Stay alone and die as human, or stand with me and live as more. The little girl reached for his hand, small fingers trembling. Don't leave us. The man looked at her, then at her mother. His heart raged inside him. Fear, guilt, and something else, something he had not felt in years. A reason. The cavern shook harder. A beam of stone fell, crashing into the river. Water hissed and steamed. The machines were almost through. The mother extended her silver hand, her glowing eyes locked on him. Choose now, she said. Husband, protector, warrior. Will you stand with us? The man's hand shook. His past screamed no, but the child's grip held him still. He raised his eyes, met the woman's burning gaze, and for the first time in years, he felt his voice steady. Yes. The word echoed through the cavern like thunder. The woman's silver hand closed over his, binding flesh to light. The energy around her body flared, spreading into him. His skin burned with fire and cold at once. His veins filled with light. The little girl gasped, eyes wide. It's happening. The machines finally broke through above, roaring into the chamber. Red light poured down, claws tearing into stone. But the man no longer felt weak. His knife glowed with the same silver light as the woman's skin. His body thrummed with new strength, half human, half something else. The mother smiled, sharp, fierce, and full of fire. Then stand, husband, she said. Stand with me. The cavern shook with war cries, human and alien together as the machines poured in, and the true battle began. The final choice, the cavern split open with fire and noise. Red beams tore through the ceiling, spilling light into the underground chamber. Machines dropped down one after another, their metal claws screeching against the stone. Their eyes burned crimson, locked on the three figures below. The man stood beside the alien mother now, her silver hand bound to his. Energy pulsed between them, running through his veins, filling his body with strength he had never known. His knife glowed with a strange light, no longer simple steel but something alive. The little girl watched, her glowing eyes wide with awe and fear. The first machine lunged forward, cannon blazing. The man moved faster than he thought possible, his body responding before his mind caught up. He slashed with the glowing blade, and the beam cut through metal as if it were paper. Sparks exploded. The machine collapsed in two smoking halves. The mother's voice thundered beside him. Good, you are learning. Another machine charged, spinning claws ready to tear him apart. The man spun, his movements sharp, clean, almost inhuman. His blade struck deep into its chest, ripping out its core. For the first time in years, he felt alive. Not surviving, not hiding, fighting, with purpose. The mother raised both arms, silver energy flooding the cavern. A storm of light burst from her body, striking three machines at once, melting their armor. They shrieked and fell, lifeless, but more came. Always more. The chamber filled with red light and steel bodies. The man gasped for breath, sweat running down his face, but the energy in his veins pushed him forward. The little girl cried out when a machine came too close. He dashed across the chamber, slashing the machine's legs before it reached her. She clung to him, trembling. Don't let them take us. His jaw tightened. They won't. The machines roared louder, their voices like broken radios. Target, traitor, target, non-human, eliminate. The man froze. The word traitor cut deep, louder than the noise of battle. They had named him not as human, not as soldier, but as enemy, and in that moment he realized something. The machines weren't only following old orders. They had adapted. They had changed. They saw him not as one of them, not even as neutral, but as a threat greater than the aliens themselves. The mother struck down another machine, but her shield flickered. The silver glow around her dimmed, cracks spreading across her shining skin. She staggered, her breath heavy. The man rushed to her side. You're hurt! She shook her head sharply. I am fading. But you, her glowing eyes locked on his. You can finish this. You can lead her if I fall. The word struck him harder than any wound. No, he growled. I won't let you fall. The machines pressed closer, filling the chamber wall to wall. The air grew thick with heat, sparks, and the stench of burning metal. The little girl screamed. They're too many. The man's mind raced. He could fight, but not forever. They would drown in steel. There had to be another way. Then he remembered. The old ships, the human cores, the power buried deep in the ruins above. The machines drew their energy from those sources. Cut the power and maybe, just maybe, the army would fall. He turned to the mother. The cores. If we destroy them, the machines die with them. Her eyes widened. You know where? He nodded grimly. I fought in the war. I helped build them. For a moment, silence cut through the chaos. The woman stared at him, her face unreadable. Then she gave a single sharp nod. Then that is your path. Our survival depends on you. The man looked down at the girl who clung to his arm. Her glowing eyes brimmed with fear, but also with something else. Faith. He tightened his grip on his blade. His voice was steady now. I'll do it. I'll finish what humans began, but I'll finish it my way. The cavern trembled violently. More machines poured in, endless red eyes burning in the dark. The mother raised her silver hands again, even as her shield cracked and dimmed. The man stepped forward, placing himself between the machines and the girl. His voice rose like thunder. You call me traitor? Fine. Then I'll betray you all. With a roar, he charged, cutting through the first line of hunters. Sparks rained down. Metal screamed, and his glowing blade carved a path through steel. The machines fell one by one, but more replaced them. The mother's energy flared one last time, collapsing part of the cavern ceiling onto the invaders. Rocks crushed their bodies, slowing the advance. Her body flickered, her silver glow almost gone. She staggered toward him, her voice low but fierce. Go, take her. Find the core. End this war. The little girl cried out, tears glowing in her eyes. No, don't leave us. The man knelt, cupping her small face in his hand. His rough voice softened. I'll come back. I promise. But if I don't, listen to your mother. Be strong. Her tiny hands clung to his. You said we wouldn't be alone. He swallowed hard. His heart ached, but he forced himself to stand. You won't, not anymore. Not ever, he turned to the woman. Her glowing eyes met his, filled with fire and sorrow. She pressed her silver hand to his chest, the last of her energy flowing into him. You are bound now. My husband. My warrior. Carry us in your blood. The machines roared again, breaking through the fallen stone. The chamber filled with red light. The man gripped his blade tighter, energy burning through his veins. His choice was made. His path set. He looked back one last time at the girl, her small figure glowing faintly in the chaos. I'll end this, he said. Then he charged into the storm. The cavern shook, light and shadow clashing in fire and steel. The battle raged on, but the future had already shifted, because now a human stood not as soldier, not as enemy, but as husband to a queen, and protector of her child. And somewhere deep within the machines, a new command whispered through their circuits. Eliminate the traitor at all costs. The war was just beginning.